What's going on, everybody? Showing off the king here. As you can see from my little friend here, I'm going to use him as a symbol today. This is going to be my anime manga roundup. This is episode 2, and this basically is a new segment I'm doing for my channel where I talk about this week's most current events going on in the world of anime or manga or anything in between. This episode will mostly focus on the manga side. There is a little bit of information I'll be giving towards the end of the video on the new upcoming Dragon Ball Z 2013 movie. But let's get into this manga first. First, I'll start off with Bleach Chapter 501. I won't do a full recap again. Most fans have already read the chapter. I'm going to focus on some key points and give you my thoughts and impressions on the actual chapter itself. Ichigo is still stuck in his little cage. The one thing I will say that kind of upset me about this episode, and again, I guess it's more of a pet peeve than anything, and I know Kubo's style, he likes to leave you frothing at the mouth. We didn't get to see what happened with the battle in Waco Mundo. You know, the other Quincy guard was cut down through the middle. We all are thinking that it's Grimjow, but we're thinking that that's where it's going to start over from, but it doesn't. Keep messing with me. Anyway, so this episode did not focus on anything from the last battle. I thought I kind of had a hint of that in the back of my head that he was going to do that to us, but I guess it was confirmed. I guess it's no big deal, just one pet peeve of mine. But the bulk of the episode had to do with Byakuya Kuchiki. He is still facing off against, I think the person's name is Agnot. I'm probably butchering that name, but I mean, these names are kind of crazy anyway. Basically, the Quincy's are still battling each other, and Byakuya is trying to figure out the weakness of the Quincy he's fighting so that Renji can then come in and try to defeat him. Now, as far as we know, he still has Byakuya's powers as well, and apparently those arrows that circle around him have some sort of, again, I'm going to borrow this from Naruto, but it has some sort of genjutsu effect on the opponent, because literally, you know, as he's battling Byakuya, he's like hallucinating. Like, again, I guess the guy's like, Byakuya is not reacting the way he used to. He's not as confident, and the guy's literally just telling him, hey, you know, that's not poison that you're feeling. You know, it's fear. And you haven't felt fear in a very long time because you're so strong. And then he goes through a whole little, you know, diatribe about, you know, fear and understanding, and Byakuya is having these visions. You know, there's one point where this chapter was kind of dark and it was kind of creepy, because at one point you see Byakuya thinking about Rukia, and her face turns into like a skeleton, and, you know, she has flesh dripping off her face, her eyeballs out of the socket. It's like fucking crazy. And then the next minute, he's like covered in like these huge bugs, and there's like bugs crawling up his body and out his mouth and in his ears. So, you know, to me, I'm thinking this dude is clearly hallucinating. He must be under some sort of genjutsu or whatever they call it in the Bleach world. But overall, you know, Byakuya is not doing well at all. You know, he tries to shake it off. You know, he does manage to land a couple of attacks on Asnot, but it doesn't look like anything that was very effective. And in the end, you know, Byakuya, he pulls out the badge. The guy pulls out the badge, and there's some sort of like swirly vortex attack that shoots down and literally just, wow. Zenbon Zakara. And the title is R.I.P. Byakuya, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I mean, come on, let's be honest here. These guys are strong. Let's get that clear. These guys are strong, but there's no way that you're gonna take out Byakuya. It's not happening. So, you know, I'm gonna title this R.I.P. Byakuya, but I'm just gonna put that out there. I don't think he's dead. I think he's definitely messed up pretty bad, but I don't think he's dead. He won't go out like that. Nah, not against these guys. Now, maybe if he fought, you know, Kirgi, the main guy, maybe he would probably lose to him, but you're not gonna lose to an underling, not Byakuya. So overall, this chapter was fantastic. You know, there was a little funny part where Renji was like, well, let me go first. And Byakuya kind of just looked at him and was like, look, you're not smart enough to fight this guy. Let me handle it, and then you can come in and do the beast work. And it was funny how Renji, I thought he was going to argue with him, but he was like, yeah, you're right. I'm not as smart as you. So that was actually kind of awesome. So again, this episode of Bleach was fantastic. I'm actually going to give it a, I was going to give it a 4 out of 5, but I'm going to have to give it a 3.5 out of 5, just because they didn't show me what happened with Urahara and Waco Mundo. I really wanted to see Grimjow come back, but I still got my fingers crossed that he will be coming back, because that would be awesome. So that's my review for Bleach Chapter 501. Now we're going to jump into Naruto Chapter 594. Okay, 594 had a lot going on as well. After what happened in 593 with Orochimaru coming back, they had big shoes to fill this chapter, and they had to do something big. And boy, did they deliver. Okay, let's talk about it. One of the key points I want to talk about, again, there was a lot of stuff that happened, but the key points that we want to talk about is the battle between Toby and Naruto. Toby decided the chapter before last, I think, or maybe it was the same chapter, they had it mixed in there a little bit. But Naruto was fighting Madara, and he brought out the sealing jar that was used for Ginkaku and Kinkaku, the tailed beast that was fighting with Daru on the beachfront. So he pulls those out, and then the totem that he's been using from like the beginning of Shippuden sucks them inside of his mouth, and then he starts to transform into the 10-tailed beast. Now, again, this is a lot of information we already knew, but again, I personally didn't know that statue was the conduit for the 10-tailed beast. So this stuff is going through, and he's like transforming, and I'm just like, oh shizzle. Like, if this thing forms, it's going to be some problems. Now, of course, Naruto, as you can tell, is getting his link with the Nine-Tailed Foxes better, because now he's on the same level as B and the Eight-Tails, where they can switch consciousness, and then the Nine-Tails can speak through Naruto, and that's what ends up happening. And the Nine-Tail basically tells everybody that he doesn't need the full Jinchurikis in order to form the 10-Tails. He can actually do it. It won't be a complete form, but it's still strong enough to probably do some major damage, which is very scary. This thing looks serious, and looks like it's in a transforming state right now that may take a lot of time. Now, one thing I do want to comment on is, again, we're still trying to figure out who the hell is Toby. And we get a little bit of a clue. Now, either this is a clue, or this is just the writers, again, trying to throw us off the hint, the scent. There's an interesting conversation that Kakashi and Guy are having with Toby, and they say something to the effects of, "Who are you anyway?" And to which Toby replies, "Even if I told you, you don't remember faces." Now, for someone to have intimate details on the fact that Guy doesn't remember faces at all is very important. Now, that could be one of two things. It can mean that Madara, Toby, has met them in their past and knows that about Guy, or what's more likely is that he's watched all the fights that they have had thus far through Zetsu. Now, don't forget that Zetsu has been recording all these battles, so he knows their battle strategy, he knows their moves, he knows their personalities through Zetsu, because Zetsu recorded the Uchiha fight, he recorded the fight with Kasami. You know what? I don't think he was actually there. So, but again, the battles between Guy and Kasami beforehand, where Kasami kept getting upset because Guy didn't know who he was or didn't remember his face, he could have known that through the Zetsu videos that he can then watch later, because we've already proven that, he can go back and then watch these things. So that could also be, and that's kind of where I'm kind of swinging, because again, the theory is out here that, again, that it's Obito. And again, at this point, it's been, the Obito thing has been thrown out so many times. It will almost be a crapshoot if it is Obito. I'd actually be pretty pissed if it was Obito at this time, because again, we've been talking about this even when Toby was first revealed, and we seen the one side of it's Obito. So again, if it's something that simple, unless he was like possessing his body or something to that effect, then I could probably see how it would go. But again, we'll see. Again, and also Kakashi was talking about, him wanting to do something about it. And, he also commented to him saying, "No wonder you've lived a life of regret." And again, we all know the only real regret that Kakashi has is that all his closest friends and companions have died, or he has not been able to protect him, aka Obito and Rin. So again, that was very interesting. And again, towards the end of the chapter, Naruto lunges at Madara, Toby Martyr, or however you want to call him. I'm just going to call him Toby, goddammit. So he lunges at Toby, and Toby is able to deflect his Rasengan back at him with his fan. And I think that's fine. We finally figured out exactly what that fan does. And again, it probably deflects Jutsu. It's kind of awesome if you think about it. So, and it looks like it reflected in not only it hit Naruto and it pretty much messed him up. But again, we know Naruto's a knucklehead. He'll be back. Now, before I end this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the new Dragon Ball Z movie scheduled to be released in 2013. Like I said in the first video, this is going to be something big, and I want all of us to support it when we do eventually get it. One update we do have on the movie now is that the movie will be based off of, it will start right after the Kid Buu saga. So literally it's right before, so we won't have any Pan. So, 10 years, after the Kid Buu saga, 10 years later, Pan is, she's growing up, and we have the World Tournament saga and all this, and the tournament saga right before Dragon Ball Z ends. So it's right there in the middle. So it's right before Dragon Ball Z ends and right after the Kid Buu saga. So again, that's good. We're still in our Akira Toriyama range, and which means we won't definitely see any GT elements too, which is fantastic. That's all I'm going to have for you guys today. Next week, definitely look out for the video. Thumbs up the video if you could, please. Definitely comment in the section below. This is Show Off the King, and you guys have a fantastic week.